הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. How beautiful it is to be here, feeling like we belong, arm in arm just like sister and brother, joined together in song. Hine ma tov ma naim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov ma naim, shevet achim gam yachad.
Well, Hine Matov, it is so good to be together this evening. And so I want to say, first of all, just a Shabbat Shalom, and I'll invite everyone to say Shabbat Shalom in response. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
All right. So it is so good for us to be together, and I want to invite us to do something maybe a little bit different. I want to invite everyone, if you would, to please rise and come forward a little bit. We're gonna hang out with each other this evening. So if you are not in the first two rows, come forward 2 or 3 rows. Come on forward, and let's be with one another. I think that there is a wisdom in those words, Hine Matov. It is so good to sit together, to be together. Let's be with one another this evening. And as is the case, and you're already jumping into this, one of the other things we do as a community, we share the space with one another. And so if you see someone that you have not met yet, or that perhaps you didn't come with and you haven't said Shabbat Shalom yet, go ahead and say hello. Let's welcome one another. This is where, of course, we make the joke at Temple Israel. We reach across the aisle and say hello to one another. So the guidelines are someone you did not come with, someone you have not said hello to yet. Go ahead and say Shabbat Shalom. Turn to one another. Let's welcome one another as we get started this evening.
Shabbat. Hine ma tov ma naim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov ma naim, shevet achim gam yachad.
Well, we're going to share this evening with one another. We're going to have this holiday of Shabbat, and we're going to sing together as well. I really think that music is one of the most powerful ways of helping this moment feel like Shabbat, for us to know that we're together with each other. And so I want to invite us to open up our prayer books. And on page 12, you'll find the words of Lechu Naranana, literally, let us sing together. Let's join together in song.
Let us sing unto God a new song. Let us sing unto God a new song. Lie, lie, lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai lai la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 Lechu niranen al Adonai Naria litzur yishenu Nikadma fanav betoda Bismirot naria lo Bismirot naria lo Lai lai la lai 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 la lai lai la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 Let us sing unto God Sing unto God a new song. Let us sing unto God a new song. Lai lai, lai lai la lai lai, lai 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 lai, lai lai la lai lai la lai lai. Lai lai la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 lai
I invite us to imagine ourselves in the hilltops of Shabbat. Many, many years ago, there was a group of Kabbalists that would gather on Friday night and to bring themselves into the right headspace, the right heart space for Friday night, for Shabbat. They would go out into the hills and they would share poetry with one another. One drew the image of two people bringing their lives together in a wedding celebration, imagining the people of Israel like one member of a couple and Shabbat like the other, opening their arms to welcome in and celebrate. And so, not yet, but when we get to the final verse of our prayer, we're actually going to stand up and to turn to the door of our sanctuary, welcoming Shabbat as if she were a bride here on her wedding day, and calling forward that image and that sweetness of those people out in the hills so many years ago, who sat on the precipice of a holiday just like we, and opened their arms to the day of rest. Page 20, let's sing together.
Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabla. Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabla. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad Hishmianu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shamo echad L'shemu tiferet ve'litila Lecha dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabla Lecha dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabla Hitoreri Kiva orech kumi ori. Uri, uri, shedaberi. Kevod Adonai, alaych nigla. Lecha dodi, likrat kala. Penei Shabbat, nekavela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala. Penei Shabbat, nekavela. Boi v'shalom ateret bala. Gam besimcha uv'zohola. Toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, lehadodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat, nekabela. Lehadodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat, nekabela. Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Malachei HaShalom.
Please be seated. We come together for so many reasons. Some of us have pain we need to heal, and some of us have joys we need to share, because when we have something good, we got to share it with the people around us. And so as we formally start our day of Shabbat, I'd like to call up Maggie and her family, Ezekiel, Nella, Christine, and Rudy, to light the candles with us. And let's let this light shine to all of us as we get to celebrate, I don't know, maybe a special day for Maggie. She starts her bat mitzvah tonight. Before we light our Shabbat candles, a note about an additional candle that we see here. Each and every Shabbat, we gather together as a Jewish community, and note that there are members of our community who are in harm's way. It is with this candle that we call for the return of the hostages from October 7th before we light the Shabbat candles, resting for this week.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We continue now with Baruch Hu on page 28. Please rise in body or in spirit.
Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai.
Join together on page 30. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, bechochma poteach sha'arim, uvitfuna mishanei itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochabim, b'mishmeroteam b'rakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi layla, uma'avdil ben yom uvein layla, Adonai tzevaot shemo, el chai v'kayam, tamid yimlo chalenu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv, Haravim.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha havta, Amcha havta. Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadata, Otanu limadata. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbeinu, uvkumenu na'asiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed, ki hem chayenu le'orech yameinu, uvachem negei yomam v'layla, negei yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavatcha al tasir, mimeinu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael, Ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad.
Please be seated. Well, just as we continue our prayer of Shema, listening and offering blessing for one generation to the next, so too do we have the opportunity to be led in the Via Hafta this evening by our bat mitzvah, Maggie. So I want to invite Maggie up to lead us as we continue our Shema prayer.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levacha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha vishinantam levanecha Vidibarta bam bishivtecha bevetecha uvlechtecha vaderech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadeha vehayu letotafot beineneha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru Va'asitem eko mitzvotai, v'hitem kedoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzetietem me'eretz Mitzrayim, lihiyot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Elohechem emet.
Yasher koach, Maggie. Well done. We continue on page 40 of our prayer books, singing out a song that was offered in our community generations and generations ago, echoing through the years and to this moment that we share together this evening.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osei fele, nora tehilot osei fele, malchutecha ra'uvanecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam ze'eli anu ve'ameru Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed Yai lai lai yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 Yai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed.
It's always quite remarkable to me how many different needs come into the same space for a Friday night service. A Friday night service fills so many different needs. Sometimes we need to just hear familiar melodies. Sometimes we're celebrating and we want to celebrate with other people. Sometimes we're looking for maybe a space that can help us rest, that we are less likely to bring out our phones during, and we can have actually an hour. I know it's shocking, but an hour without our phones. And for many of us as well, this is a space that we come to for comfort. All of us are able to sit in the same space, and the hope is that each of these needs can be met. Together, we're going to offer a prayer that invites us to receive that comfort, to be in this space and to let ourselves be surrounded by community, by people who care about us, to feel a little bit of guidance and a bit of comfort as well. You'll find the words on page 373. May we find our steps together, and may we find comfort in it.
Oh, guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter now. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. And help me make this day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. Ufro saleinu sukat shlomecha. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Oh, guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter now. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. And help me make this day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. Oh, guide my steps. Oh, guide my steps.
We continue on page 46 of our prayer books. Page 46, please rise in body or in spirit.
Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Adonai Sfatai tiftach, ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, Sfatai tiftach, ufi agid Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imachot, Umevi Geula livnei v'neihem, Lema'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah, Rav le'choshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chaim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofei cholim, Umatir rasurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umidom melach, Melech memit, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, Ve'ne'eman atah lehachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, Ukdoshim b'chol yom, Yehallelucha selah, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
We continue silently, either using words on the pages to follow or other words we might find in our hearts. We'll join together again on page 62. When you've completed your prayer, you may be seated.
Yehiyu leratzon imrei fi vehegyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai
I had a friend in college who was one of those people that you love to spend time with. She was a wonderful, sweet, thoughtful, caring person and a lot of fun. And also was a little bit frustrating, and I'll tell you why. She was smart, but I mean really, really smart. Like one of these people who would pick up just about anything because they breeze through the book real quickly and they've got it in their head. Like someone that I went to rabbinical school with later on, who I know that photographic memory is something that is disputed whether it exists or not, but if it exists, he most certainly had it. He would breeze through tests without studying because he had seen the material once, and he read just like this. Well, my friend in college was very much the same way. Had multiple majors, 3 different majors, and graduated still in 4 years, and was quickly snatched up by many of her teachers to be the TA in all her different classes. She was remarkable in many different respects. And so it was always kind of a treat to be able to sit and talk with her and kind of drink in what she might have learned most recently. Now, there were a number of times where she tried to explain to me some complex economic theories, and we got into the math, and I had to say, hold on. And there were other times where we would talk philosophy, and that was a little more fun because I felt like I could kind of hang a little bit with her on that. And then there were times that we would talk about religion. And in that instance, honestly, I felt like I was really privileged that we would be able to speak from her perspective about her Catholic upbringing that she had. She went to a Jewish preschool and then a Catholic school after that. And for me, something that I love, and this is going to come as a great shock, but I really love Jewish things. You're going to be shocked on that. Yeah. And so we're talking one day, and she comes to me and she says, I've decided that I want to learn more about Judaism, so I've started reading the Torah. And I don't know if anybody else had the same reaction, that I kind of thought, I mean, sort of. But actually, you can't really learn a lot about Judaism by reading the Torah, which I know is ironic, right? You would think that that would be the thing to learn about Judaism from. But I had that reaction immediately. I said, no, don't do that. Let's talk about it. Now, many, many years ago, the rabbis had a similar kind of anxiety about what a text might mean when it's simply read and not discussed. There was a tremendous amount of debate about whether it was okay to write down the sacred words of our tradition. And they went back and forth and back and forth. Should we write it down? Should we not? And there's a discussion that there is the written Torah, which is the 5 books of Moses, but then there was kind of a conversation around it, right? And if you look at the texts that are in the Talmud, they actually will often cite a Torah text, and they'll cite it completely out of context. It's one of my favorite things to do when I'm reading or studying Talmud is to look up the original source, and it almost never has anything to do with what they're trying to argue, right? Because there's an element of this being a living tradition. You can't just get what it means from what is written down. And even when we ourselves are talking about Torah, I think we maybe talk about it a little bit differently, right? The story of Noah's Ark is a very different story to someone who's learned about it their whole lives than it is to, for example, when I talk about it to my almost 5-year-old who is just learning about, okay, but what's this whole thing about the 2 animals on the ark, and is honestly mostly interested in just the cute, cuddly animals. But, and recently, by the way, we read a story about a goblin that was on the ark and also finding, so maybe there were animals that we didn't even know about. But that's not a rabbinic text. But I think that we tell even the same story differently in different situations. In fact, we have a tradition in Judaism of people who would translate the Torah to the community, because in ancient times also they didn't speak Hebrew, but they would retell the story, and we have different Targumim. We have Targum Jonathan, we have Targum Onkelos, we have all these different ones, and they kind of told it a little bit differently every time. Because there's something to the context of a text. When it's sitting there on its own, it's not really the whole story. This week, when I was reading through the Torah portion, I actually stopped immediately at the name of the Torah portion. The Torah portion for this week is emor, which literally means to speak. And I think that it's a remarkable thing that all through our Torah we have verse after verse after verse that says, and God spoke to Moses. And the very first verse of this Torah portion is, God says to Moses, speak to the priests, the sons of Aaron, say to them. Why would they say speak over and over and over again when we got it? Say it out loud, right? Say it to the Israelites. I think that we lose nuance when we set things in cold ink. I think that when we write something down, it starts to lose its meaning because it's set. And there's no way to sit around it and have a conversation around it and draw out more meaning because it's stopped. I also think that today we are in a world where we are slipping into a place where there is no conversation. I think that we lose the gift of living truth when we have rapid fire print. We live in a world now where so much communication happens with words that are printed and without any context. And perhaps they move from one website to another, or they move from one social media platform to another, but they are set in that space without the ability to talk around it about what is meant by these words. Now, I want to be very clear. Words are essential, and we are responsible for the words that we share with one another. And at the same time, I think that whereas we have a tradition that is thousands of years old, where we take a look at a very few set of words and wonder about what they might say, we can learn also about the power of conversation in a community and in a space where we haven't had that conversation. I think that it is incredibly important when we are reading from one another, posts and texts and things like that, to still stop and have a conversation with one another. There's something lost when we are only looking at the words that are shared back and forth, and quite simply, we lose nuance. And I think that we can learn that from a tradition that is still trying to fully grasp a post that was dated thousands of years ago and was given on a very, very old site. And so what we do in our community is we bring that text to life, and we take the words and we turn them and we turn them. May we always find greater and greater meaning in the conversation with one another. Shabbat Shalom. Well, I want to invite us to turn our thoughts to those members of our community who are in need of healing. If you're joining us online, I invite you to place the names of those that you are thinking of in the chat at this time. And for all of us who are in our sanctuary, we're deliberate in handing out these sheets that have the names of those members of our community who are in need of healing. As you look through this list, if you see someone that maybe you haven't talked to in a little bit, or someone that you might be surprised about, or simply a reminder of someone who is in need, I invite us to begin with that text message and then follow it up with conversation, where we can share with one another. We care with one another. We care about one another. We're thinking of one another. That is a part of the healing that we call for in this prayer. And of course, this evening and every Shabbat, we hold in our hearts as well those who are in the Middle East, in Israel, and everyone in that area who is in need of strength, in need of healing, as we have a whole world that needs healing. We hold them in our hearts. For all of us, I invite us again to turn our thoughts to those members of our community in need of healing. And so we call for healing for Jim Linden, Doreen Wright-Wendell, Isabel Wolf, Richard Bellatini, Jean Flath, Karen Gruel, and Roseanne Roberts. If you are here in our sanctuary and are thinking of someone in particular, it's our custom to invite you to rise and to say their name as my eyes meet yours.
Megan, continue.
We add to these names Pat Rolls, Olivia Escoboza, Linda Lord, Maxine Lynn, and Claire Steinberger. You'll find the words for our prayer of healing on page 373 of our prayer books.
Dear God of our ancestors, help us renew our faith. Grant us a perfect healing. Bring peace to all our days. El na rafana la rafana lanu. El na rafana la rafana lanu. Restore our strength of body. Help clarify our minds. Refresh our tired spirits. Rejuvenate our light. Il na rafana la rafana lanu. El na rafana la rafana lanu. Thank you for all these blessings. Throughout our days and nights, we celebrate the journey, this precious gift of life. Il na rafana la rafana lanu. El na rafana la rafana lanu. El na rafana la rafana lanu.
We continue with the words of Aleinu on page 282. Page 282, please rise in body or in spirit.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula leotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. Well, our thoughts now turn to those in our community who have died in recent days or in this season in years past. And so for those of us who are joining online, I invite us to share the names of those that we are thinking of in the chat at this time. And for all of us, I invite us to turn our hearts to those members of our community and the people in our lives who have changed us and made us better people because of their presence in it. We know that our lives are changed forever by the people in our lives, and so my hope in offering this blessing is that it can be a memory and a reminder that love stretches far beyond the reaches of life and death, and that the blessing of life and the blessing of love remains even after someone has died. I invite us to turn our hearts as well to those members of our community who are in a period of Shiva and Shloshim, observing the 7 and 30 days after the death of someone near to them. And so as we remember Jay Sala, our hearts are with Kelly, Fifi, Barbara, and Randy, Jamie, Michael, and Sarah. As we remember Gail Nachlis, our hearts are with Ruth and Alex and Meredith, Sarah and Brad, Rosalind and Kai, Merrill and Stephen, Barbara and Roy. And as we remember Aaron Shear, our hearts are with Randy and Robin. This Shabbat, we also mark the art site, the anniversary of the death of Belle Axel, Helen Barth, Stanley Brill, Albert Butler, Harry Cohn, Fred Coleman, Harriet Einhorn, Helene Fisher, Clark Hamilton, Anna Hillinger, Amy Hirsch, Gertrude Jaffe, Jack Kagia, Jane Lancet, Fred Lissack, Albert Middleman, Blanche Middleman, Jack Panitz, Rebecca Perkle, Lillian Rosenberg, Milton Safier, Miriam Schwartz, Harold Sloan, Eve Stern, Sarah Tall, Samuel Weil, Ruth Weitz, and Amtsia Yaron. If you are here having suffered a recent loss or are thinking of someone in particular this Shabbat, it's our custom to invite you to rise and to share their name as my eyes meet yours. We add to these names Denise Carver. I'd like to invite us now together and as one community to turn to the words on page 294, and to rise as one as we offer these words of mourning. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemerava, v'alma dibarach yirteh v'almlich malchuteh, b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, b'agala uv'yizman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehi shmei rabba mibarach leolam omel maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalal shmei dekudisha barichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim alinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'mramav, hu yaseh shalom, alinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, amen. Zichronam livracha, may the memories of those near to us always be a source of blessing. I invite us together to say, amen. Well, I'd like to invite everyone to please be seated as we hear some announcements from a member of our board of directors. I'd like to invite up Jill Granick to share about some of the goings-on at Temple Israel.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I know coming after this past week and the week before, you'd think maybe things are slowing down a little here at Temple Israel. Not at all. We want to thank the generous contribution of Rudy and Christina Kimmerling for generously donating our oneg tonight. Thank you. Tomorrow morning, Rabbi Fox will be leading Torah study at 8:45. If you haven't been, it's wonderful. Please join us. Come one, come all. Also tomorrow at 10:30, where is Maggie? It's your bat mitzvah, mazel tov. Coming up on Tuesday, May 21st at 7 o'clock, Joys of Jewish Learning movie and discussion, screening the movie As They Made Us. On Thursday, May 23rd at 7 o'clock, the Joys of Jewish Learning have Let's Talk About Israel, and it's about Israel's general election. I've got a little preview to this particular class. It's going to be great, and given everything that's going on in Israel, their whole election process can be a little confusing to those of us looking from our point of view. We have many classes that continue to go on. Please take a look online at our calendar. It's always up to date. Mark the things on your own calendar that are coming up in the future. And if you ever have a question about anything, look for those of us with a badge on. We'll do our best to answer it for you. Shabbat Shalom.
Next Friday night is the Billy Joel Shabbat.
Oh, yeah.
So dress up in your best Billy Joel outfit. I don't know what that is, so.
Immediately I start thinking, da, 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 da. Okay. But actually, we have a treat this evening. We have a melody for a prayer that is, I imagine, very familiar to us and is written by one of the teachers that I had the joy of learning with, Benji Schiller, who is one of these people who every single time you see her, she has this big grin on her face. She is just someone filled with life and love, and I know that she would be so excited and thrilled that we are sharing in a melody that comes from her heart. It's a reminder, I think, of the way that our community works, that we amplify things that bring joy in our community. And so here is a bit of sweetness, and we're going to make it even sweeter by singing it together. We also have a tradition at Temple Israel, and some of us are taking part in that tradition already, to maybe be near the people next to us. If you are comfortable, I invite you to raise an arm and place it on the shoulders of the person next to you, and let's sing together with one another as one community as we finish our service this evening.
And thank you, David York.
Thank you, David York, for his music, for it being such an important part of this leadership team.
May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will say amen. May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will say descend on us, and the world will say amen. May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will say amen. Oh, say shalom. Bimroma, huyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Israel, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will say amen.
Let's continue our celebration just in our foyer with Kiddush and Motzi, wishing all of us a Shabbat Shalom, everyone.